ever wondered in the middle of the night about the most famous ship in history? One that almost no one on Earth hasn't heard about? The story of tragedy, mystery, and legend. The British ship RMS Titanic. With all the advanced technology we have today, modern submarines and deep-sea recovery equipment, why haven't we brought the Titanic up from the bottom of the ocean yet? It was supposed to be a one-of-a-kind ship, so why is it still resting beneath the waves? Welcome to Midnight Reflections, where curiosity never sleeps. Now, let's find out where curiosity never sleeps. The Titanic, or as it was sometimes called, the Mighty Giant, was believed to be the ship that could never sink. It was designed by the British company White Star Line to compete with the massive ships being built by rival companies. And when the Titanic made its debut in 1911, it outclassed every ship in the world in luxury, strength, and the claim of being unsinkable. People used to compare it to greatness itself. Its size alone was staggering, literally the length of a massive soccer stadium. But sadly, despite all of that, despite being equipped with the latest safety and security measures of the time, the Titanic sailed only one single voyage. On April 10, 1912, the ship set off on its first and last journey. It left the English port of Queenstown, proudly headed for the United States. For 4 days, it sailed smoothly across the ocean without a single issue. Then, at the end of the 4th day, right at midnight, the ship's lookout rang the alarm bells. He reported an iceberg directly in the ship's path. Despite the captain's and crew's desperate efforts to steer away, the Titanic struck the iceberg. The impact tore holes in the lower hull of the ship. Water rushed in, and the bow began to sink slowly into the ocean. After approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes, the Titanic vanished beneath the waves. There were 2,200 people on board. Only about 700 survived. The other 1,500 perished, mostly because there simply weren't enough lifeboats. It became one of the most devastating disasters the world had ever seen. News of the Titanic's sinking didn't reach the public until days later, specifically when the New York Herald published a front-page headline announcing the tragedy. The story spread like wildfire across the globe. Just as newspapers had eagerly covered the ship's grand departure on April 10th, they now poured even more attention into the sinking. Bold headlines filled the front pages. "Ship of the Rich sinks to ocean's depths," or "The unsinkable ship now rests at the bottom." Even though newspapers shared extensive reports about the Titanic, none of them could explain exactly how or why it sank. It wasn't until later, after some time had passed, that enough information was gathered from the surviving passengers and a few members of the crew. Once the full story became clear, outrage erupted across London. The city was shaken by the horrific tragedy that had struck the ship and its passengers. Massive protests filled the streets, demanding accountability. People condemned those responsible for the disaster and called for urgent reforms to ensure the safety of future sea travelers. Yet, despite everything, experts at the time still considered the Titanic one of the safest ships ever built. They believed the main reason it sank was that the ship was taken by surprise. An unexpected iceberg appeared in its path while it was moving at full speed. And that was something completely beyond anyone's control. But regardless of why the ship went down, the Titanic still remains at the bottom of the ocean. So why was it left there all this time? Was it because no one had enough money to fund a recovery mission? Definitely not. Many of the victims' families were wealthy. Funding a salvage operation wouldn't have been an issue. Was the problem about lacking the equipment or tools needed to raise it? Again, no. Even back then, there were machines and devices capable of aiding in such a mission. So why didn't they bring the Titanic up from the water? In truth, the main reason was this: they simply didn't know where it was. The Titanic had sunk in the Atlantic Ocean, the second largest ocean in the entire world, and the exact coordinates of where the ship went down were unknown. On top of that, when a ship sinks, its parts don't always settle in the same spot. They can drift far away due to ocean currents. So, at the time, no one knew where the Titanic actually was. Still, even without knowing exactly where it was, experts said, until we locate it, let's start proposing ways to bring it up. So both professionals and amateurs began coming up with ideas. Different theories and scenarios to raise the Titanic from the ocean floor. One idea suggested using a giant electromagnetic crane, lowering it into the water to attract the ship's metal hull. Once the wreck attached to the magnet, they'd slowly lift it up to the surface. Another idea? Freeze the Titanic completely using liquid nitrogen. That way, the entire ship would turn into a solid block of ice. And just like ice cubes float in water, the frozen Titanic would naturally rise to the surface. Everyone was pitching in with their thoughts. Humanity, as a whole, seemed deeply passionate about raising the Titanic. But just as the world was buzzing with ideas, something happened that completely shut down the conversation. World War I, followed by World War II. Two global conflicts that completely shifted the world's priorities. Because of them, the scientific community abandoned the Titanic for decades. But when the wars finally ended and life returned to some sense of normal, people once again turned their attention to the Titanic. Research institutions began mapping the depths of the ocean, calling in experts and specialists to help pinpoint the ship's exact location. Still, by 1985, all attempts had failed. The sinking of the Titanic had become a cultural phenomenon. Artists, filmmakers, writers, and musicians brought it back to life through their work. But once the wreck was finally discovered, that artistic tribute no longer felt like enough. Humanity was now determined to recover the Titanic itself. On September 1st, 1985, an American-French expedition led by Robert Ballard finally located the wreck of the Titanic at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But the explorers noticed something alarming. The ship had split into two main sections shortly after it sank, and all around it were hundreds of items. Tools, belongings, personal artifacts, plates, furniture, crates, metals scattered across the seafloor. While some of these items were found in relatively good condition, the ship itself had suffered severe damage simply from being underwater for such a long time. Even though many explorers dedicated their entire lives to searching for it, they ultimately decided not to bring the Titanic up from the depths. All they did was place a sign near the wreck, reading, "The ship is extremely damaged and in poor condition. Please do not touch." Then, they left. They returned to the surface and left the Titanic resting in the deep. The truth is, there were several real attempts to raise the Titanic from the ocean. But every time, explorers realized something heartbreaking. The ship's structure had become far too fragile. Any attempt to move it would cause the entire hull to collapse, reducing it to dust. In fact, experts believe that within the next 40 years, the Titanic will likely disintegrate completely on its own. The ship's body is already being consumed by rust, eaten away by a strain of bacteria called Halomonas titanicae, a microorganism with the ability to digest iron. So, instead of trying to raise the Titanic, the world came to a different conclusion. A global agreement was made to protect the surrounding waters where the Titanic rests. Today, the ship is safeguarded by UNESCO, preserved as an underwater cultural heritage site. No one is allowed to disturb it. No one is allowed to bring it up. We can only watch as the countdown to its complete disappearance continues. We are powerless to help, powerless to save it. In the end, the Titanic herself was never recovered from the ocean floor. But that doesn't mean nothing was salvaged. Small items, personal belongings, and fragments of the ship were brought up over the years. They are all we have left, echoes of a ship that was once called unsinkable, now resting in silence at the bottom of the Atlantic. Indeed, many Titanic-related artifacts have been displayed in museums all over the world. For example, the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic in Halifax, Canada, houses wooden debris, benches, and even wheelchairs recovered from the sea by Canadian search vessels that also retrieved the bodies of victims. There's also the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich and the Sea City Museum in Southampton, where many items are on display, donated by survivors and the families of those who perished. Some of these artifacts were even taken directly from the bodies of victims. And to this day, the company RMS Titanic, Inc. continues to organize global exhibitions, showcasing artifacts recovered from the wreck itself, including life jackets, original menus from the ship's restaurant, carpet samples, floor tiles, and countless personal belongings. These exhibitions have been visited by over 20 million people worldwide. And one of the strangest things ever recovered? A pocket watch that belonged to one of the victims. It stopped ticking at exactly 2:20 a.m., just minutes after its owner entered the freezing water. A silent witness to one of the most haunting moments in human history. A moment when time itself seemed to stop. Now you know. Got more midnight questions? Drop them in the comments. Stay curious, and I'll see you in another Midnight Mystery.